Indeed, from day one of my mandate as a commissioner, I thought that corporate social responsibility would be one of the issues I should focus on, which also requires a collaboration with fellow commissioners. As you know, together with Vice President Tajani and Commissioner Barnier, we formed a trio to work on this issue. And the most visible product of that has been the communication a little bit more than 1 year ago in a package which was about a responsible enterprise, responsible business. No need to explain why business has to be more responsible. If you look back to the previous 10 years, when the lack of proper regulation, the lack of proper attitude, especially in the financial sector, increased a huge amount of risk. And in this recession, in this very long crisis, we're paying a very high price for that period. But CSR, as I think there is consensus about the concept, is not exactly about the questions of regulation, exactly the opposite. It's about what business can do for a better society, what is not required by legislation, what is not required exactly by rules and laws, but what is generated by genuine responsibility for the environment, the social environment, the workforce of the companies, and all this together. And just to say a good example of our cooperation from the recent period, let me just highlight the key theme of this year, which is the European Year for Active Aging. And we actually started this year together in January with the CSR conference on active aging, which highlighted a lot of opportunities, how business can contribute by developing a specific market segment or developing specific products for the aging generation of Europeans. And of course, it's also very important to develop new job opportunities because we have ambition, we have concrete targets in the Europe 2020 strategy, and helping the older workforce to maintain participation through maintaining health, knowledge, competitiveness in the labor market is extremely important, and it's not something that can be just told from offices, but it requires a proactive and positive approach. But I think for this opportunity to give you some further ideas how you can help the Commission to achieve its goals, because that's, I think, a very good framework, a very good philosophy for this cooperation. I would like to highlight 3 issues, and then this can also be part of the discussion. When we start courses about the European Union, lesson 1 is about the symbols, lesson 2 is about what can happen in its history to the European Union, and the answer is that it can widen and deepen. I think it's a very important point to discuss if it's possible to widen, first of all, the movement of CSR, the culture of CSR, to spread to countries, to localities where it's not so strong, where it doesn't have such a deep tradition, as the European Union also has enlarged in the past decades. I think it's very important to see in all aspects how the good initiatives, the good practices could be transferred to countries that joined more recently. But there is also the second point, deepening. Could CSR also deepen to find new issues, to extend social responsibility to new questions, to new social groups inside or outside the enterprise. I mentioned the older workforce, the older workers in the context of the active aging, but I'm sure you also know that the most burning problem of employment in the European Union is the youth. And the responsibility for the youth, the job opportunities, the working conditions in terms of apprenticeships, traineeships, is something where the Commission has been concentrated its efforts. And next week I will present a youth employment package with several elements, but we don't believe that the Commission can deliver all the answers, even if our documents will be very high quality. But we also need this partnership with business to create more opportunities for our young people. But you could list more, because, for example, in the recent period there is less word about the gender dimension. The most recent issue where the gender dimension was highlighted was the women's quota on listed companies' supervisory board, the non-executive positions. But in the world of employment, of course, there are many aspects where there is a need, there is a room for more responsibility. And then I would also like to mention a third point beyond deepening and widening, which is leading. Leading on issues where you are probably very well situated to find good answers to problems that arise newly on our agenda. Let me just mention what we have unfortunately experienced in the recent months, a series of closures and redundancies in the automotive sector. This is practically a black autumn for the automotive sector, at least in Western Europe. We have received bad news from several companies, several member states, very high number of job losses. And of course, we have a context for the discussion about this, which is a discussion mainly among the social partners in Europe about restructuring, how to do restructuring in a responsible way, but in a different business cycle. This also happens in a different way, and there's a different background with globalization and the conditions in various sectors, different background in terms of the state of the European economy and its competitiveness vis-à-vis the rest of the world. So to find socially responsible answers to this, and especially if we can develop for the future a more anticipative approach, this is something which we are looking for. Of course, we listen to you in all qualities when you are social partners as employers, but also when you work on corporate social responsibility. Of course, this is an extremely important issue at this time when we are fighting for creating every single job, and we also have to fight for retaining jobs where it is possible. There is now, I'm sure you paid attention to this, a newly designed and reinforced industrial policy framework from the Commission, but in order to make it operational, in order to achieve a good impact in practice and show that in the coming decade we reach this new target, because there is actually also a target here to increase the share of industry to 20% in the European GDP from the current 16. There is a need not only for the partnership but also leadership. And then, once speaking about the targets, for us, the Barroso II Commission, the framework for this is the Europe 2020 strategy. Practically in every major step we are making. We have the Europe 2020 strategy on the horizon, sometimes closer, sometimes in a more distant position, sometimes more sharper, sometimes a little bit blurred. But just to mention the multi-annual financial framework, which was discussed a couple of days ago in the European Council, or what was discussed today in the Commission, the annual growth survey, and the new architecture of a genuine economic and monetary union. This all needs to be connected with our long-term objective for economic and social development, which is the Europe 2020. I think this is also where we should try to connect as much as possible from CSR practices of business in Europe. We have very ambitious objectives, and as the crisis sometimes deepens and sometimes widens in the EU, these objectives turn out to be more and more difficult to reach. Nevertheless, I always take the approach that when the difficulties arise, we need to look for new instruments instead of revising our targets and objectives too early. So this is still a phase when we need to look for new cooperations, new instruments in order to reach these objectives, and I'm sure a lot can be done also in the context of corporate social responsibility. I thank you very much for your attention, and I think over the next course, or in between or after, we can have a discussion on all these issues or even more. Thank you.